Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to paint pansies. So let's do it.
I'd love to give a huge shout out to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design and business and more. At under $10 a month, it's insanely affordable, and with a premium membership, you can get unlimited classes, so you can join classes and communities that are just right for you, whenever you want, however many you want. So whether you want to fuel your curiosity, creativity, or even career, Skillshare is the perfect place for you to keep learning. I'm checking out Sophia Chang's course on building a digital brand, and so far it's been amazing. And looking around, there are thousands of classes for pretty much anyone to learn anything. So if you want to check it out, use the link in the description below.
Okay, so to start, I'm just going to go through my materials. I have my Arches watercolor paper, my Winsor Newton Cotman watercolors, my Princeton snap brush in a size 6, my paper towel, and my water, and we're ready to go. So we're going to be painting some pansies today, and they come in so many different colors, so I'm just going to try a few out. But I really love the blue and the purple ones, so I think I'm going to start off with some blue. Maybe a tad bit of mauve in there just because why not? So let's see what this blue looks like. I want a nice bright blue. Okay, here we go. Okay, so pansies have these 3 prominent petals kind of in the front and then a couple at the back. So I'm just going to outline using a light wash those 3 petals, okay, and I'm just going to fill them in with a very, very light wash. And then there's like another one here, and it's not like perfectly round. There's a little bit of like jaggedy edge to it, so don't worry about being perfect. That, and then you have this fatter one towards the bottom. And I'm just going to fill those in like that. Okay. And then while making sure it's still wet, you're then going to drop some color in it. So tends to have some yellow in the middle. So I'm going to take some of my yellow, not too much, not too much water, because if you touch it, it's going to overwhelm the petals. So if you need to just dab it on your paper towel a little bit just to make sure there's not too much water, you're just going to tap the color into the base here to let it bleed a bit. Now, if you start moving your brush around too much, it will start to mix and it will turn green, and you really want that yellow to shine. So now I'm going to take my blue, making sure again the petals are still wet. I feel like over here for me they're starting to dry a bit, so I'm just gonna make sure they're wet by just adding some water, not too much water where it's like dripping, but just enough that you get like this nice shine to it. And that's how you know it's still wet. Otherwise, the colors will not blend and bleed the way we want them to. So I'm gonna take my dark color now, and I'm just gonna go around the edge. And then you're just gonna take your blue and you're just gonna do some lines starting from the middle, coming out. Oh, oops, wrong blue. It's all good. Now the reason why we're not going in is because when you flick out, you're gonna have the largest amount of paint at the end of that line, and you want more smaller lines towards the middle. You don't want big blobs of paint there. So flicking out and letting it dry. Now if you want to add more like of a dark blue towards the edges, go for it. Like so. And then once that dries, we can do some lines inside. We are going to do the petals behind, but I want it to dry, this first layer to dry first, just so it doesn't bleed into the petals behind. So I'm just going to move on to another flower. Okay, so let's try a purple one now because they're beautiful. I'm actually going to mix it with this right here. Okay, and you're just going to do the same thing, a light wash. Your 2 petals. Like that. And then your one at the bottom, jagged edges. Now I've seen some ones that have, excuse me, like bright yellow almost in the middle too. So the thing about purple and yellow is you got to be careful and you got to tap the yellow in there. Otherwise, if you're going to mix the yellow with the purple, it will turn brown. So we're going to use our tapping technique, and you're just going to tap. Okay, we're not like moving it all around. You don't want it to blend in with the purple. You want it to bleed, okay? So bleed is when you see that definite yellow. It's not blending with the purple and creating a new color. It is bleeding, okay? And if you end up tapping too much and there's too much purple, too much yellow, again, you'll have that muddy kind of brown, okay? And then I'm gonna take my purple and I'm gonna tap the edges. Again, you gotta be careful with the purple too, mixing into the yellow. Okay. So just using that tapping technique to tap that color in. So I'm using my mauve color. And then I'm going to use my dioxazine purple to get a darker purple. Just making sure it's not too much water. I'm going to tap some darker purple here. Okay. And then some darker purple at the edges too. Now, like I said, these flowers come in many different colors. Don't feel like you have to copy the colors exactly. Just kind of showing you how to get those cool color bleeds without them mixing. Okay, then I'm gonna take my yellow, because there's a bit of yellow in the middle. Also, there's a bit of yellow in this one too that's kind of missing. So I just made sure that was still wet. I went back in there and there's Just tapping there. There. Okay, so we're gonna wait for that to dry, and then we will do the petals in the background. Okay, so now that our first layer is dry, you can see it dries a bit lighter than when it was wet. So I'm just going to do some layers over top of those in a minute. I'm gonna do the petals behind first. So I'm gonna get my light wash just so I know where I'm putting it down. I'm gonna start with this purple one. And they just kind of come out behind. And then once I have my light wash, I'm just gonna drop in my color. Now, because the petals behind are wet and the first layer is dry, they will not blend together. If you have that trouble and it seems like the color you're just dropping in now is bleeding into that first layer, that means that the first layer was not completely dry. In that case, just dry it and try again. Can I get some darker purple? Like that. Okay, and now I'm going to start doing a bit of detail on these front petals. Okay, so I'm just kind of bringing those lines in. And I want to darken up this bit. So I'm just going to create lines over this dark purple part. And because I'm painting on a dry surface, it won't blend. You're going to get those sharp lines. You can always go around the edges too if you want to make it a bit darker. Like that. And then I'm gonna do the blue one. Okay, so I'm gonna create those blue petals behind. Just a bit back there. I'm gonna leave a little bit of white space. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with my darker color. And then some of that darker bit right at the edge. Like that. And now I'm gonna take, actually, hold on. Looks a little bit wonky to me. Just gonna bring that out a bit more. Darken up that edge. Okay, and now I'm gonna take my dark turquoise color and I'm just gonna do some kind of line details like that. So just using very light pressure to create those really thin lines. Like that. Okay, and so there's some pansies. And now if you feel like it, you know, you can put some greenery around. And you can take your green, or you can just fill up the rest of the page with more of them. But I'm just going to do a couple leaves behind and stems. Now it looks like different kinds of pansies have different leaves, but they all tend to be a bit longer rather than like stumpy fat ones. So I'm just doing a light wash of my sap green. I'm gonna go back in there with my Hooker's Green Dark just to add some depth into there. Tap some of that color. And there you go. There are your colorful pansies. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.